January 1878, and the cold had teeth. Wind screamed through Frostbite Creek like the devil's choir. Ice hung from every eave, sharp as rifle bayonets. My breath made ghosts in the air. I hadn't seen another soul in 3 months, wouldn't be there now, except my coffee ran out. A man can live without a lot of things. Coffee ain't one of them. Town Square was packed despite the storm. 20 men circled a platform, their laughter cutting through the wind. Howard Briggs stood there, gavel in hand, a woman beside him, feed sack over her head, rope binding her wrists, the skin underneath raw and bleeding. "Damaged goods," Briggs shouted, tobacco juice freezing before it hit the ground. "Rejected by the buyer. Do I hear $5?" The woman stood straight. That pride, you can't kill it with shame. Something in my frozen chest cracked open. I pulled $10 from my wallet. "She's coming with me." When I untied that sack, what I saw stopped my heart cold. Briggs grinned like a weasel finding the henhouse door open. "Well, well, Oz Thatcher. Figured you died up in those mountains." "Not yet." I climbed down from Con, my boots crunching on ice-crusted snow. "But the day's young." The crowd parted. Nobody stopped me. Some looked away, ashamed but not ashamed enough to leave. A few women pulled their shawls tight and hurried off, their skirts whispering against the frozen boardwalk. Up close, I could see the woman trembling. Not from fear, from cold. That thin dress wasn't fit for September, let alone January. Her bound hands were purple. "Ma'am," I said quietly. My voice came out rough from disuse. "Can you ride?" A small nod beneath the sack. $10, Briggs said, snatching my money before I could change my mind. "No refunds, no returns. She's all yours, Oz." He leaned close, his breath reeking of whiskey and rot. "Keep the sack on till you get home. Trust me." I ignored him, pulled my knife, and cut the rope from her wrists. The hemp had bitten deep. Fresh blood welled up, bright red against her pale skin. She didn't flinch. "My horse is there," I said, gesturing to Con. "We'll be leaving now." I offered my arm. She took it, her grip surprisingly strong. We walked through that crowd like Moses through the Red Sea. Behind us, Briggs called out, "Good luck, Oz! You're gonna need it." The laughter followed us to the edge of town. Then the wind swallowed it whole. I helped her mount, then swung up behind her. She sat stiff as a fence post, but didn't protest when my arm went around her waist to reach the reins. Had to hold her steady. The wind wanted to knock us both sideways. "Name's Oswin Thatcher," I said as we rode. "Folks call me Oz. My cabin's about an hour up the mountain. It's warm, it's safe, and tomorrow, if you want to leave, I'll take you anywhere you need to go." No response. Didn't expect one. The blizzard closed around us like a fist. Couldn't see 10 feet ahead. Con knew the trail better than I did. She'd walked it 1,000 times. I gave her her head and focused on keeping us both in the saddle. The woman's shivers came in waves. I pulled my coat tighter around us both, sharing what warmth I had. She smelled like fear and cheap soap. Under the sack, I heard her breathing, fast, shallow, trying to stay calm. "Not much further," I said. The wind howled. Snow stung my face like thrown needles. My beard turned to ice. But Con kept moving, one steady step after another. Good mare. Connie would have liked her. Thinking of Connie made my chest tight. 9 years and it still hurt like yesterday. Some wounds don't heal, you just learn to carry them. The cabin appeared through the white curtain, a dark shape against darker trees. Smoke still rose from the chimney. I'd banked the fire before I left, hoping I'd make it back before it died. I dismounted, helped her down. She stood in the snow, waiting, silent. "Inside," I said. "I'll tend the horse, then we'll get you warm." She didn't move toward the door. "Go on," I said, gentler. "It's open. Fire's going. Water's on the stove." Still nothing. I realized she was waiting for permission, for orders. Whatever she'd been through had taught her that. "Ma'am," I said, looking at where I thought her eyes might be under that sack. "You're not property, not anymore. Inside is warm, you can sit, eat, rest, whatever you need. I'll be in directly." A long pause. Then she walked to the door, slow and careful on the icy steps. She pushed it open. Warm light spilled out, golden against the snow. I led Con to the lean-to, brushed her down, gave her grain and water. The whole time, my hands shook. Not from cold. What had I done? Bought a woman like livestock. Brought her to my cabin in the middle of nowhere. Creek was frozen solid. 2 feet of ice, according to old Woody at the store. Nothing was getting through till April. Maybe late March, if we got lucky. 3 months, maybe 4, trapped up here together. I looked back at the cabin. Through the window, I saw her shadow moving, She'd found the chair by the fire. "Well, Connie," I said to the wind, "reckon you're laughing at me now." The wind howled, no answer but the cold. I took a breath and walked inside. She stood as I entered, that sack still covering her face. The firelight made strange shadows through the rough weave. "Sit," I said, hanging my coat. "I'll get that off you if you're willing." A moment's hesitation, then she nodded and sat. My hands fumbled with the twine at her neck. "Sorry, fingers are half frozen." The knot came loose. I lifted the sack away, slow, gentle as I could. Lamplight hit her face. I froze. She looked like Connie, not exactly, but the cheekbones, the shape of her jaw, that same defiant chin. One eye was brown, deep and clear, the other was clouded, pale green like seafoam. A scar ran from her temple to her cheek. An old burn, I realized. Her hair was auburn, cropped short and rough, like someone had taken shears to it in anger. But those eyes, that face, like God had sent me a ghost. "Water's on the table," I managed, my voice gone rough. "I'll warm some stew." She sat at my table, hands folded, waiting. The fire crackled behind her. Outside, the wind screamed. I poured water from the kettle, set it in front of her. Steam rose between us, smelling of iron from the well. "You must be thirsty," I said. She stared at the cup like it might bite her, then slowly she reached for it. Her hands shook. Water sloshed over the rim. I turned to the stove, gave her privacy to drink, stirred the stew, venison, potatoes, wild onions. It bubbled thick, filling the cabin with something that smelled like home, or what home used to smell like. When I turned back, the cup was empty. She'd set it down precise, handle turned just so. "Hungry?" I asked. A pause. "Whoa." Then a small nod. I ladled stew into 2 bowls, set one before her with a spoon, sat across from her with mine, didn't touch it, waited. She looked at her bowl, at me, at the bowl again. "Go on," I said. "You don't need permission here." Her throat worked. She picked up the spoon with those raw, bleeding wrists and ate. Slow at first, then faster, like she hadn't eaten in days. Probably hadn't. I ate too. We didn't talk. Just the sound of spoons on tin, the fire popping, the wind trying to tear the roof off. When she finished, she set the spoon down careful. Her eyes met mine, that strange pair, one brown, one clouded. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. No sound came out. She touched her throat, shook her head, tried again. Her lips formed words, but nothing, just a soft rush of air. "You can't speak," I said quietly. She nodded, eyes filling with something, shame maybe, or relief that I understood. "That's all right," I said. "Words are overrated anyway." The ghost of a smile touched her lips, first expression I'd seen. "You'll take the bed," I said, standing. "I'll sleep by the fire." She shook her head hard, stood up fast, pointed at me, then the bed, then at herself in the floor. "No, ma'am," I said. "You're a guest. Guests get the bed." She crossed her arms, lifted that scarred chin. The message was clear. "I won't take your bed." "Stubborn," I said. "All right. We'll both be uncomfortable then. You take the bed, I'll take the floor, and we'll both wake up sore." That almost smile again. She walked to the bed, my bed, Connie's bed, and sat on the edge, looked at me, questioning. "Sleep," I said. "You're safe here. I give you my word." She lay down fully clothed, facing the wall. I banked the fire, stretched out on the floor with a blanket and my coat for a pillow. The wind howled. Snow hissed against the windows. Inside, warmth. Silence. I lay there staring at the rafters, thinking about how she looked like Connie, about how I'd just brought a stranger into my home, about how the creek was frozen solid, and we were stuck here till spring. "What have you done, Oz?" No answer. Just the sound of her breathing, slow and steady. She'd fallen asleep fast, exhausted. I closed my eyes. Outside, something cracked, a tree branch breaking under ice. I sat up, reaching for my rifle. 3 sharp knocks woke me at dawn. The woman was already awake, sitting on the bed, eyes wide. I grabbed my rifle, went to the door. "Who is it?" "Deputy Silas Cord. Need a word, Mr. Thatcher." I opened the door a crack. Silas stood there, young face red from cold, badge shining on his coat. Behind him 2 horses, behind them gray sky promising more snow. "What's this about, Silas?" "Official business?" He held up a paper. "Mind if I come in? Fingers are freezing." I let him in, kept the rifle close. Silas stomped snow off his boots, then saw the woman. His eyes went wide. "So it's true," he said quietly. "You bought her." "Helped her," I corrected. "Now what do you want?" Silas pulled an envelope from his coat. The paper crinkled loud in the quiet cabin. Judge Thorne sent me. Says I'm to deliver this personally. I took it, broke the seal, read it once, then again, slower. Notice of eviction. 30 days to vacate property. Failure to comply will result in forcible removal by territorial authority. My jaw clenched. On what grounds? Says here you're squatting on land with active mining claims. Silas shifted his weight, wouldn't meet my eyes. Judge has a surveyor's report. Says there's a silver vein running under your property. Says his company filed proper papers last year. That's a damn lie. This land's been mine 8 years. Got the deed from the territorial office. I'm just delivering the notice, Mr. Thatcher. Silas glanced at the woman again. Something flickered in his face. Pity? Recognition? There's more. Judge says, he paused, says she's stolen goods. Says the man who ordered her has filed a complaint. Says you're harboring fugitive property. The words hit like a fist. Property. His words, not mine. Silas looked miserable. Says if you don't turn her over, he'll add that to the charges. Theft, harboring a vagrant, interfering with lawful commerce. The woman stood up fast, hands clenched. Her eyes darted to the door, calculating. Sit down, I said to her, gentle. Then to Silas, you tell Judge Thorne he can take his notice, and... I'd be careful, Mr. Thatcher. Silas's voice dropped low. Judge has friends. Territorial marshal, land office, even the governor owes him favors. He set another paper on the table. That's a summons. You're to appear in 30 days to show cause why you shouldn't be evicted, and to produce the woman for examination. Examination? Says here she might be mentally unfit, might need institutional care. Silas finally met my eyes. I'm sorry, Oz. I truly am, but the law's the law. He turned to leave, paused at the door. One more thing. Creek's frozen solid. Marshall said nobody's getting through till April at earliest, so you got time to think. But come spring... He shook his head. Come spring, they're coming for both of you. The door closed. Hoofbeats faded into wind. I stood there holding those papers, feeling walls close in. The woman touched my arm. When I looked at her, she pointed at the door, then at herself. She mimed walking away. Her meaning was clear. I'll leave, save yourself. No, I said. Nobody's leaving, not in this cold. She shook her head hard, urgent, pointed at the papers, at herself again. Listen to me. I set the rifle down, turned to face her. I made a choice yesterday. I don't regret it. Whatever comes, we'll face it. But I won't send you back to that platform. Not ever. Her eyes filled. A single tear slid down her scarred cheek. Outside, the wind picked up. The walls creaked. Somewhere in the distance, ice cracked like a rifle shot. We were trapped, both of us. And come spring, they'd take everything. 3 days passed. The blizzard didn't let up. We moved around each other like strangers in a dream. She cooked, found the flour, the salt pork, made flapjacks that tasted better than anything I'd eaten in years. She cleaned, swept, mended a tear in my shirt I'd been ignoring for months. But she wouldn't eat until I sat down first. Wouldn't sit until I did, wouldn't take anything without that wordless question in her eyes, is this allowed? Drove me half crazy. You don't need permission, I said the second morning. This is your home now, too. She just looked at me with those mismatched eyes and waited anyway. I tried talking to her, asked simple questions. She'd nod or shake her head, but that was it. Tried writing, scratched words in the ash by the fire. She read them fine, I could tell, but she didn't write back. Just stared at my chicken scratch letters like they were a foreign language. By the third night, I was ready to climb the walls. The cabin felt too small, too quiet, too full of ghosts. I lay on the floor by the fire, listening to her breathe in the bed. Connie used to breathe like that, soft, steady, used to hum in her sleep sometimes. This woman didn't hum, didn't make a sound, sleep wouldn't come. I stared at the ceiling, thinking about Judge Thorne, about those papers, about how I'd just made an enemy of the most powerful man in the territory. For what? A woman I didn't know, couldn't even talk to. You're a fool, Oz Thatcher. Then I heard it. Tap, 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 tap. I sat up. The woman stood at the wall, her back to me. In the firelight, I saw her knuckles hitting wood. Rhythm, pattern, tap, 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 tap. My heart jumped. I knew that rhythm. Morse code. I grabbed a stick from the fire, knocked it against the table leg. Tap, 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 tap. She spun around, eyes wide. I tapped again. Thankyu. Her hand flew to her mouth. Then she rushed to the table, knocked back, Youknow. Learned it in the war, I said, grinning like a fool. Thought I'd forgotten. She tapped fast, Cantalknow. Reckon we can. I pulled out a chair. Sit. Let's talk proper. We sat at that table till the fire burned low, tapping conversations into wood. WHYSAVEME, she asked. RIGHTTHING, I tapped back. She paused a long time, then NOTWORTHTENDOLLARS. Now that's where you're wrong, I said out loud, then tapped EVERYPERSONWORTHMORE. Her fingers trembled. She tapped WHATISYOURNAME. I tapped it out. OSWINTHATCHER. She smiled. First real smile I'd seen, then tapped CLEMENTINEHARLOW. Clementine, I said. The name felt right. Pretty name. She shook her head, tapped NOTPRETTY. Didn't say you were pretty, said your name was. I tapped BUTYOUARE. She looked away, touching the scar on her face. I tapped SCARSMEANYOUSURVIVED. When she looked back, her eyes were wet. She reached into her dress pocket and pulled out something small, set it on the table between us. A harmonica. Battered, dented, but cared for. The brass caught the firelight. She put it to her lips and played, just a few notes. Soft, haunting. The sound filled the cabin like a living thing. You can make music, I said. She nodded, tapped CANTSPEAKCANSINGTHISWAY. Then you've got a voice, just different than most. She played again, a longer melody this time. I recognized it after a moment. Clementine? The old song. Oh, my darling, oh, my darling, oh, my darling Clementine. Your father named you after the song? I asked. She nodded, tapped. RIVERBOATCAPTAINTAUGHTFIREKLEDCHIM. The pieces clicked together. The scars, the short hair, the way she'd stood on that platform like she was used to facing down storms. I'm sorry, I said. She tapped LONGAGO, then DWHYALONE. It was my turn to pause. My turn to decide how much truth to share. I tapped slow. WIFEDIEDCHOLERASCHILDREN, she asked. BABYDAUGHTERSAMEDAY. Her hand covered mine. The touch was light, brief, but it said more than words ever could. We sat there in the firelight, two broken people who'd found a way to talk. A knock at the door shattered the moment. I grabbed my rifle. Who's there? Madge Chen, a woman's voice, sharp with cold. Got a youngin' with me. Let us in before we freeze. I opened the door. Madge stood there, the Chinese widow who ran the boarding house in town. Beside her, a small girl with dark hair and darker eyes. The child's hands moved in quick patterns, sign language. Storm let up enough to get through, Madge said, pushing past me with the girl. Brought you supplies. And this is Bea. She's deaf. Been staying with me, but... She saw Clem and stopped. Ah, so the rumors are true. Clem stood, uncertain. The little girl, Bea, looked at Clem. Her hands moved. Hello, are you hurt? Clem shook her head. Bea's hands flew again. You can't talk? Clem nodded. Bea smiled and signed. Me neither. We can be friends. Something in Clem's face cracked open. She knelt down to Bea's level and signed back. Clumsy, uncertain, but trying. Madge set a bundle on the table. Brought flour, coffee, bacon. Woody at the store sends his regards. She pulled out an envelope. And this came for you yesterday, from Judge Thorne. My stomach dropped. What's it say? Don't know. Didn't open it. Madge's eyes were sharp. But I heard talk in town. Judge is pushing the territorial marshal to come soon as the thaw hits. Says you're squatting. Says that woman's not right in the head. She glanced at Clem, who was teaching B to tap Morse code on the table. She seems plenty right to me. I broke the seal, read the letter, my hands clenched around the paper. What is it? Madge asked. Says if I don't vacate in 30 days, he'll have me arrested. Says Clem needs to be examined by a territorial doctor. Says if she's found incompetent, she'll be remanded to an asylum in Helena. I looked at Clem, who was laughing, actually laughing, as B tapped out her name. Says it's for her own good. Madge's face went hard. Judge Thorne don't give a damn about anyone's good but his own. He wants your land, Oz. The question is why. Says there's silver here. Maybe there is. Maybe there ain't. Madge pulled her coat tight. But I'll tell you this. Thorne's been buying up every failed claim from here to Butte. He's after something, and he don't let nothing stand in his way. She headed for the door, then paused. B can stay a few days if you want. Keep the lady company. Lord knows that child could use a friend. After Madge left, I watched Clem and B at the table. The girl signed. Clem tapped Morse. Somehow, they understood each other. Clem looked up at me and tapped SHESTAYS. I nodded. She stays. For the first time since I'd brought her home, Clem smiled, really smiled. Outside, ice cracked in the trees. Spring was still months away, but inside, something was thawing. 2 weeks later, the storm finally broke. Sky turned blue, hard, cold blue that hurt to look at. Snow stopped falling. Roads opened up just enough for travel. We need supplies, I told Clem, and I need to see Woody about those papers. She tapped DANGER. Probably, but we can't hide forever. She looked at B, who was playing with the harmonica. Tapped SHECOMES. All three of us, then. We rode into town mid-morning. Clem sat in front of me on con, B behind. The girl's small hands gripped my coat. She couldn't hear the horse's hooves on frozen ground, but she felt the rhythm. Town was busier than I'd seen it in years. Folks stopped and stared as we passed. Some nodded, most didn't. A few women pulled their children inside. Ignore them, I muttered. At Woody's store, we dismounted. I helped both down. Clem's hand found mine, just for a second. Nervous. Inside, Woody was weighing flour for a customer. He looked up, saw us, and his weathered face broke into a grin. Oz, heard you were holed up till spring. He nodded to Clem. Ma'am, and little B, how's my favorite troublemaker? B signed something that made Woody laugh. What did she say? I asked. Said I'm getting fat. He patted his belly. She ain't wrong. The other customer, a rancher named Perkins, looked at Clem with undisguised disgust. That the one you bought? That's Mrs. Thatcher, I said, the lie coming easy. My wife. Clem's head whipped toward me. I squeezed her hand. Play along. Perkins snorted. Wife, sure. He grabbed his flower and left, bell jangling. Woody's smile faded. You hear about the meeting? What meeting? Judge called a town assembly, tonight, at Madge's boarding house. Says it's about community standards and legal matters. Woody lowered his voice. It's about you, Oz. And her. My jaw tightened. I'll be there. I'd advise against it. Advice noted. Madge's boarding house was packed. Every chair filled, people standing along the walls. Wood smoke and lamp oil thick in the air. The murmur of voices died when we walked in. Judge Thorne sat at the head table like a king on a throne. 52, silver-haired, dressed in a suit that cost more than most folks made in a year. He smiled when he saw us. Mr. Thatcher, how good of you to join us. His voice was smooth as honey. Please, sit. We sat in the back, Clem between me and B. I felt every eye in the room on us. Now then, Judge Thorne stood, spread papers on the table. I've called this meeting to discuss a matter of public concern, namely, the legal status of Mr. Thatcher's land and the woman currently residing with him. She's my wife, I said. Is she? Thorne's eyebrow raised. Funny. I checked the county records. No marriage license filed. No announcement in the church. No witnesses. He smiled. But perhaps you married in secret? Silence. I felt the trap closing. I thought not. Thorne lifted a paper. What I have here is a bill of sale. Mr. Thatcher purchased this woman from Howard Briggs for $10. That makes her, legally speaking, bonded labor. She's a debtor, working off an obligation. That's not, I started. Let me finish. His voice sharpened. I also have an affidavit from one Garrett Voss. He claims he paid passage for a mail-order bride who never arrived. Description matches this woman precisely. He's filed a theft complaint. Clem's hand found mine under the table, cold, shaking. Now, Thorne continued, his voice turning gentle, I'm not an unreasonable man. I understand Mr. Thatcher acted from compassion, misguided compassion, but compassion nonetheless. He pulled out a bank draft. I'm prepared to offer $500. Mr. Thatcher takes the money, vacates the land peacefully, and the woman is remanded to proper care. What kind of care? Madge called from the side. Territorial asylum in Helena. She's clearly mentally unfit, can't speak, can't function in society. They have excellent doctors. She'll be evaluated, treated humanely. He looked right at Clem. It's for her own good. Clem's breath came fast. Her eyes darted to the door. I stood. She's not going anywhere. Mr. Thatcher, be reasonable. She's not property. She's not insane. She's a woman who's been through hell and survived it. My voice rose. And I'll be damned if I let you lock her in a cage. Then you'll be arrested. Thorne's smile disappeared. I have the law on my side. Surveyor's report says there's a silver vein under your land. My company filed proper claims. You're trespassing, harboring stolen goods, interfering with legal commerce. He leaned forward. In 30 days, the territorial marshal arrives. You'll be evicted by force. She'll be taken into custody. Unless, he slid the bank draft across the table. Unless you do the merciful thing, take the money, start over somewhere else. Let her get the help she needs. The room was silent, waiting. I felt Clem's hand tighten on mine. She pulled it into her lap, tapped on my palm, N-O-D-O-N-T. I looked at her. Those mismatched eyes were fierce, afraid, but fierce. Then I looked at Thorne. You can take your money and choke on it. Gasps around the room. Thorne's face went cold. Then we're done here. 30 days, Mr. Thatcher. After that, you'll lose everything. The land, the woman, your freedom. He gathered his papers. And when you're sitting in a jail cell, you'll realize that stubbornness isn't the same as righteousness. He walked out. Half the room followed him. The other half, Woody, Madge, a few others, stayed. Well, Woody said quietly, that went about as expected. I sat down heavy. My hands shook. Not from anger, from fear. Clem tapped S-O-R-R-Y, M-Y-F-A-U-L-T. No, I said, none of this is your fault. She tapped L-E-T-M-E-G-O, S-A-V-E-Y-O-U-R-S-E-L-F. I took her face in my hands, made her look at me. Listen, I made a choice. I don't regret it. We'll find a way. Tears spilled down her scarred cheeks. B tugged on Clem's sleeve, signed something urgent. What's she saying? I asked Madge. Madge's voice was soft. She's saying, don't let them take you. You're my friend. Clem pulled B into her lap, held her tight. Outside, hoofbeats faded into the frozen night. We sat there in that crowded room, me, Clem, B, and a handful of people who might stand with us or might not. 30 days. Then everything would burn. We walked back through town in silence. Not the kind of silence that's empty, the kind that's full of things nobody knows how to say. Clem held B's hand. I led Con. Our boots crunched on ice. Smoke from chimneys rose straight up in the still air, smelling of pine and supper cooking. Normal life, going on around us while ours fell apart. At the edge of town, Clem stopped, turned to me. Her breath made clouds between us. She tapped on my chest right over my heart. W-H-A-T-I-F-M-A-R-R-Y. My heart hammered. What? She tapped again. M-A-R-R-Y. L-E-G-A-L-S-A-V-E-U-S. Clem. H-E-C-A-N-T-T-A-K-E-M-E-I-F-U-I-F-E. Her eyes pleaded. R-I-G-H-T. She was right. Married woman couldn't be committed without her husband's consent. Old law meant to protect men's property, but it would protect her. That what you want? I asked. Or just what you think will save us? She paused, looked at Bia, then back at me, tapped slow, B-O-T-H, then faster, I-T-R-U-S-T-Y-O-U. 3 words, simple, but they hit harder than any punch I'd taken. I'd mean it, I said. Wouldn't be just paper. I don't know how to do things halfway. She smiled, that small, scarred smile that made something in my chest go tight. Tapped Good. B tugged on Clem's skirt, signed something. What did she say? I asked. Clem's eyes danced. She tapped SHEASKSIFSHECANBEFLOWERGIRL. I laughed. First real laugh in weeks. Reckon so. We kept walking. The sun was setting, turning the snow pink and gold. Winter beautiful. Winter that would end one way or another. Midnight. I rode back to town alone, knocked on Woody's back door. He opened it in his nightshirt, shotgun in hand. Oz, what the hell? I need help. 10 minutes later, we sat at his kitchen table. Madge arrived, wrapped in a thick coat. She'd brought coffee. Real coffee, not chicory. The smell filled the small room, bitter and strong. Marriage, Woody said, scratching his beard. It could work. Could, Madge said. If the ceremony's legal, if there's witnesses, if it's filed proper. She looked at me hard. And if you mean it, Oz, Judge'll test it. He'll dig. If it's fraud, you're both done. I mean it, I said. You love her? Madge asked. I thought about Clem teaching Bee to tap Morse, about how she left coffee warm for me, about how she stood on that platform with a sack on her head and refused to break. Getting there, I said. Fast, Woody grinned. Good enough. He pulled out a piece of paper, official-looking, with a seal. Marriage certificate, blank. I keep him for the traveling minister when he comes through. Where is he now? Virginia City, but he'll be through in a week. Always stops here on his circuit. Woody slid the paper across. You marry her legal, eyewitness, Madge witnesses. We file it with the county. By the time Thorne hears about it, it's done. Madge poured more coffee. There's another problem. The asylum order. If Thorne convinces a doctor she's unfit, he can override even a husband's rights. Happened to my cousin in San Francisco. Husband didn't want her committed, but 2 doctors signed papers, and the law sided with them. My stomach turned cold. So marriage isn't enough. Not by itself. Madge leaned forward. But if we can prove Thorne's lying about the land, prove he's got ulterior motives, we can challenge the whole case. Make him look like what he is, a land grabber using the law as a weapon. How do we prove that? Woody's eyes gleamed. I sent a telegram to the Territorial Surveyor's office 3 weeks ago, asked for a copy of their official report on your land. Cost me $20 in bribes, but he pulled out another envelope. Should be here any day. What if it says the same as Thorne's? Then we're sunk. Woody shrugged. But I've known Thorne 15 years. Man lies like he breathes. I'm betting his surveyor's report is as real as a $3 bill. Madge stood. 1 week. You marry her quiet. We get that federal report, and we pray to God we can hold things together till spring. I walked back through frozen streets. The moon was high, turning everything silver. My breath made ghosts. In the cabin, Clem and Bee were asleep in the bed, curled together like sisters. The fire burned low. I sat by the hearth, holding that blank marriage certificate. Connie, I thought, if you're watching, I hope this is all right. Hope you understand. The wind whispered through the cracks. No answer, just cold. I looked at Clem sleeping. Moonlight caught her scarred face, made her look peaceful, beautiful in a fierce kind of way. I'll protect you, I whispered, or die trying. Outside, an owl hooted. Spring was still far off, but maybe, just maybe, we'd live to see it. 7 days later, Minister Williams arrived on a mule, half frozen and grateful for hot coffee. Marry you? He looked at me, then at Clem. Well now, that's sudden. We love each other, I said. That sudden enough? He studied Clem. She met his eyes, didn't flinch. He signed something to Bee, who sat in the corner. Bee signed back, fast and certain. What did she say? I asked. Said Miss Clementine is kind. Said you're both scared but trying. He smiled. That's about as honest as marriage gets. We gathered at the frozen creek that afternoon. Pale sun, no wind. The ice had started to crack at the edges, thin dark lines spreading like veins. Water whispered underneath. Spring coming, slow but sure. Woody stood on my right, Madge on Clem's left. Bee between us, grinning. She'd woven pine branches into a crown and stuck it on Clem's head. Made her look like a forest queen. Minister Williams opened his Bible. The pages crackled in the cold. Dearly beloved, he began. The words washed over me. I watched Clem instead. She'd changed into a clean dress, one of Madge's, altered to fit. Her short hair was combed neat. That scar caught the light. She was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. Do you, Oswin Thatcher, take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife? I tapped on her hand. I-D-O. She squeezed back. And do you, Clementine Harlow, take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband? Clem pulled out her harmonica, played 2 notes, high, then low, clear as church bells. I'll take that as I do, William said, smiling. By the power vested in me by the territory of Montana, I pronounce you husband and wife. He closed his Bible. You may kiss your bride, Oz. I looked at Clem. She looked at me, a question in her eyes. I leaned in slow, giving her time to pull back. She didn't. Our lips met, gentle, brief. She tasted like coffee and hope. When we pulled apart, Bee cheered silently, jumping up and down. Woody clapped. Madge wiped her eyes. Let's get inside, William said, before we all freeze to death. We signed the certificate at my table. Clem's signature was shaky but clear. Mine was steady. Woody and Madge signed as witnesses. William stamped it official. I'll file this in town tomorrow, William said. Congratulations, Mrs. Thatcher. Clem smiled, actually smiled, then hoofbeats outside, fast and urgent. I grabbed my rifle. Stay inside, Silas dismounted, his young face pale. Oz, Judge knows he's coming, and he's bringing Dr. Harmon, the territorial examiner. My stomach dropped. When? Now, 10 minutes behind me. Silas looked at Clem. I'm sorry, I tried to slow them down, but you did good coming here first. I turned to Clem. We're married now. Legal. He can't take you. She tapped. WHATIFDOCTOR. Then you show him your sound in mind. Show him you can think, reason, understand. Her eyes filled with doubt. Bee tugged her sleeve, signed something fierce. Madge translated. She says you're the smartest person I know. Show them. Clem knelt, hugged Bee tight. Hoofbeats. Lots of them. Judge Thorne arrived with 6 men. Dr. Harmon, a thin man with spectacles and a black bag, 2 deputies, 3 others I didn't recognize. Mr. Thatcher, Thorne said, not dismounting, I've come to conduct a welfare examination of the woman in your care. She's my wife now, I said, legally married this afternoon. Thorne's face flickered, surprise, then anger, then that smooth smile. Is that so? How convenient. May I see the certificate? I handed it to him through the door. He read it, handed it to Dr. Harmon. Seems in order, Harmon said quietly. Seems, Thorne agreed. But a marriage doesn't negate concerns about mental fitness. If Mrs. Thatcher is unable to consent to marriage due to diminished capacity, the marriage is void. He looked at me, which is why Dr. Harmon is here, to evaluate her competence. It's for her protection, you understand. She's competent. Then you have nothing to fear from an examination, Thorne smiled. Unless you do. Trap. Damned either way. Refuse, and it looks like I'm hiding something. Accept, and put Clem through hell. I looked back at her. She stood tall, Bee beside her. She tapped on the table. LETHIMTRY. All right, I said, but I stay in the room. Agreed. Dr. Harmon entered, set his bag on the table. He was older up close, maybe 60, with kind eyes behind those spectacles. Mrs. Thatcher, he said gently, I'm Dr. Harmon. I need to ask you some questions. Can you understand me? Clem nodded. Can you write your name? She picked up a pencil, wrote, Clementine Thatcher. Harmon nodded. Can you read? He opened a book, pointed to a line. Clem read it silently, then tapped on the table. Morse code. I translated, The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Harmon's eyebrows rose. Morse code? Her father taught her, I said. He was a riverboat captain. Fascinating. Harmon looked at Clem. Can you tell me, through tapping or writing, why you married Mr. Thatcher? Clem tapped. I translated. He saved me, treated me with dignity. I trust him. And do you consent to this marriage of your own free will? She tapped. Yes. Do you understand what marriage entails? The legal obligations? She tapped. Yes. To honor, cherish, remain faithful, till death. Harmon smiled slightly. Then he pulled out her harmonica. May I? Clem nodded. He handed it to her. Can you play something? She put it to her lips and played, a hymn, slow and haunting. Amazing grace. Perfect pitch, perfect rhythm. When she finished, the room was silent. Harmon turned to Thorne. Your Honor, this woman shows clear signs of intelligence, reason, and sound judgment. She communicates effectively through multiple methods. She understands complex concepts. She's capable of making informed decisions. He packed his bag. In my professional opinion, she's completely competent. This marriage is valid. Thorne's jaw clenched. But she can't speak. Muteness is not insanity, Harmon said firmly. I've seen soldiers who lost their voices to artillery. I've seen women who went mute from trauma. They're not insane. They're survivors. He tipped his hat to Clem. Ma'am, you're a remarkable woman. Your husband is lucky. He walked out. Thorne sat on his horse, face like a thundercloud. Then Silas stepped forward. His voice shook, but it was loud. Judge, Thorne, I got something to say. Thorne's eyes narrowed. Deputy Cord, we're leaving. No, sir. Silas pulled off his badge, held it out. I'm done. Done enforcing your crooked laws. Done watching you destroy good people. His hand trembled. My sister was deaf. You had her committed to that asylum in Helena when she was 16. Said she was unfit, said it was for her own good. The air went cold. She died there, Silas continued. 3 months later, they said it was fever. But I saw the bruises on her body when they sent her back. I know what they did. Tears ran down his face. He looked at Clem. I couldn't save her, but I'll be damned if I let you do the same to another innocent woman. He turned to me. Your land, Oz. That silver vein story? It's a lie. I've seen the real surveyor's report. There's no silver under your property. It's under the judge's own land, and he's been mining it illegal for 2 years. He wants you gone so you can't testify to what you've seen, to the men going in and out of his tunnels at night. Thorne's face went white. You have no proof. I got eyes, Silas said. And I ain't the only one who's noticed. Federal Marshal's been asking questions. He pulled out a folded paper. And this came yesterday. Warrant for your arrest, wire fraud, falsifying territorial documents. Thorne stared, then he wheeled his horse. This isn't over. He rode off, his men following. All but one, a hard-faced man who drew his gun. The shot cracked loud. Silas fell. I fired back. The man dropped from his saddle. Silence. Smoke. The smell of gunpowder sharp in the cold air. Woody ran to Silas. He's breathing. Get Harmon back here. Clem was already moving, tearing cloth for bandages. Her hands were steady. Sure. I knelt beside Silas. Why'd you do that? He coughed, blood on his lips. Because someone had to. The ice on the creek cracked loud, a sound like God splitting stone. Spring was coming. Whether we'd live to see it was another question. Silas lived. Dr. Harmon dug the bullet out, said he'd be fine if infection didn't set in. We moved him to Madge's boarding house, where she could watch him. That left me and Clem and B alone in the cabin. 3 days passed. The temperature rose. Snow melted during the day, froze at night. The eaves dripped constantly, a soft, steady tapping that sounded like Morse code. Spring was coming, but so was the marshal. So was Thorne's revenge. I couldn't sleep, lay on the floor staring at the ceiling, listening to Clem breathe. What had I done? Married a woman I barely knew, made enemies of powerful men, put B in danger. For what? For pride? For some misguided sense of honor? She'd be safer without you, a voice whispered. You're going to get her killed. I thought of Connie, of my baby daughter, how I'd been away scouting when the cholera hit, how I'd come home to find them both dead, buried in graves I hadn't dug. You can't protect anyone. You proved that already. The cabin walls pressed close. I stood, pulled on my coat, went outside. The night was clear, cold, stars so bright they looked like holes in the sky. I walked to the creek. The ice was breaking up, big chunks floating in black water, grinding against each other with a sound like bones breaking. I can't do this, I said to the darkness. I'm going to fail her, just like I failed Connie. No answer, just the water, rushing free, after months of being trapped. Footsteps behind me. Clem stood there in her nightdress and my coat, bare feet in the snow. You'll freeze, I said. She walked to me, took my face in her hands, made me look at her. She tapped on my chest. WHATWRONG. I'm not good enough, I said. For you, for this, I'm going to let you down. She tapped N-O. You don't understand. I lost my wife, my daughter. I wasn't there when they needed me. She tapped harder. N-O-T-Y-O-U-R-F-A-U-L-T. I should have been there. She grabbed my hand, tapped fierce, Youherenothatmatters. What if I fail again? She pulled me down, kissed me, not gentle this time, hard, desperate. When she pulled back, her eyes blazed. She tapped, Ichooseyyoueveryday, Something in my chest broke open. All the ice I'd been carrying for 9 years cracked like the creek. I kissed her back. She tasted like cold air and courage. When we finally pulled apart, I tapped on her hand, Loveyouu. She tapped back, Loveyoutoo. We stood there by the breaking creek, holding each other while the world thawed around us. Behind us, a voice. Touching, really. We spun. A man stood in the shadows, one of Thorne's hired guns. He held a rifle. Judge wants you to know you got 3 days. Then he's coming with the marshal, territorial troops, and a new court order. You'll lose everything. He grinned, including her. Get off my land, I said. Gladly. Just delivering a message. He tipped his hat to Clem. Ma'am, hope you like asylums. He walked away, whistling. Clem's hand tightened in mine. She tapped, Whatdowedo. Fight, I said. We fight. Morning. Woody arrived with news, his breath steaming in the cold air. Federal surveyor's report came in. He spread the papers on my table. They smelled like ink and official seals. Oz, there's no silver under your land? None. But there's a rich vein under Thorne's property, and he's been mining it illegal for 2 years. No permits, no safety inspections, just digging and shipping ore under cover of night. Why does he want my land, then? Because you can see his mine entrance from your north ridge. You're a witness. If the federal government investigates, you can testify to what you've seen. Men, equipment, ore wagons. Woody grinned. He's been committing wire fraud, falsifying documents, and evading taxes. That's 20 years federal prison. So we have proof. We do, but there's more. He pulled out another paper. Thorne's son died in that mine 3 years ago. Cave in. Thorne covered it up, bribed the coroner. That's why he's obsessed with it. Trying to make his son's death mean something. Trying to build an empire on stolen ground. I sat down heavy. He's not just greedy. He's guilty. Guilt makes men dangerous, Woody said. Madge arrived next, with Silas, still pale, but standing. Territorial marshal's 2 days out, she said. He's bringing soldiers. Thorne told him you're an armed squatter, told him you're holding a woman against her will. So they're coming to rescue Clem from me. I looked at my wife. She stood by the window, watching the melting snow. Bee played at her feet. We turn this around. Make it public. Force Thorne to answer for his crimes in front of everyone. How? Silas asked. Town meeting, tomorrow. We present the evidence. Let the people decide. Thorne won't come, Madge said. He will if we threaten to mail these papers to the territorial governor. I tapped the surveyor's report. His whole empire collapses if this gets out. He'll come to try to stop us. Woody frowned. You're setting a trap, using yourself as bait. Got a better idea? Silence. Clem tapped on my arm. Dangerous. Everything's dangerous, I said. At least this way we control when and where. She looked at me long, then tapped OKAYBUTISTANDWITHYOU. Wouldn't have it any other way. That night, I sat by the fire cleaning my rifle. The smell of gun oil filled the cabin. Outside, water dripped steady. The world was thawing. Clem sat beside me, playing her harmonica soft. A lullaby. Bee slept in the bed, peaceful. Tomorrow, I said, everything changes. She stopped playing, tapped AFRAID. Me too. She leaned her head on my shoulder. We sat there listening to the drip, drip, drip of melting ice. Spring was almost here. So was the reckoning. Madge's boarding house was packed. Every person in Frostbite Creek crammed inside. The smell of wet wool and tobacco smoke thick enough to choke on. The walls sweated with body heat. Judge Thorne sat at the head table, flanked by 2 lawyers from Helena. He looked confident, calm, like a man who'd already won. I sat in the back with Clem, Bee, Woody, and Madge. Silas stood against the wall, still weak but standing. The territorial marshal, Roy Brennan, stood by the door. Big man, weathered face, eyes that missed nothing. He'd arrived that morning with 10 soldiers. Let's get this over with, Brennan said. Judge Thorne, you filed charges, state them. Thorne stood. Marshal, I've brought you here to evict a squatter and rescue a woman being held against her will. Oswin Thatcher has no legal claim to his land. His so-called wife is mentally unfit and was married under duress. That's a lie, I said. Is it? Where's your deed, Mr. Thatcher? I pulled it out, handed it to Brennan. He read it, nodded. Looks legal to me. Look at the land description, Thorne said smoothly. Section 12, Township 4, that's contested ground. My company filed a claim last year. Based on a false surveyor's report, Woody called out. He stood, holding papers. I got the real federal survey right here. There's no silver on Oz's land, but there's plenty under yours, and you've been mining it illegal. Gasps around the room. Thorne's face went white, then red. Those are forgeries. Federal seal says different. Woody passed the papers to Brennan. Judge Thorne's been running an illegal mine for 2 years. No permits, no taxes. He wants Oz gone because Oz can see the mine entrance from his property. Oz is a witness. Brennan read slowly. His face hardened. Judge Thorne, this is serious. Wire fraud, tax evasion, falsifying federal documents. Marshal, I can explain. Oh, and there's more, Silas said, stepping forward. 3 years ago, a man died in that mine. Thomas Thorne, the judge's son, cave-in. The judge bribed the coroner, called it an accident in town, but it was negligence, no safety measures, no supports, just greed. Thorne's face crumpled. For a moment, he looked old, broken. My son, his voice cracked. I was trying to make something. Build something that would last. That would make his death mean something. You can't build nothing good on another man's suffering, I said quietly. Or on lies, not even for a son. Thorne sat down hard. What about the woman? Brennan asked. You said she was unfit. Dr. Harmon examined her, Silas said. Found her completely competent. It's in his report. And the marriage? Madge stood. I witnessed it. So did Woody and Minister Williams. It's legal. It's real. And anyone who's seen them together knows it's built on love, not coercion. Brennan looked at Clem. Ma'am, can you understand what's being said here? Clem nodded. She pulled out her harmonica. She can't speak, I said, but she can communicate. Clem played a melody, the battle hymn of the Republic. Slow, haunting, every note perfect. When she finished, silence. Then she tapped on the table. Long and short, Morse code. I translated. I came here to escape, found a home instead, found a man who treats me with dignity, found a daughter in B. This is my family. I chose them freely. Brennan's eyes softened. Marshall's honor, I believe her. He turned to Thorne. Judge, you're under arrest. Federal charges, tax evasion, fraud, and manslaughter in the death of your son. He nodded to his soldiers. Take him. Thorne stood. For a moment I thought he'd fight, but he just looked at me, eyes empty. I was trying to make it right, he whispered. Make his death mean something. Should have tried honesty, I said. Might have worked better. They cuffed him, but as they let him out, one of his lawyers stood. Marshal, this doesn't resolve the land dispute. Even if Judge Thorne is guilty, his company's claim predates Mr. Thatcher's settlement. Brennan frowned. That true? No, Woody said. He pulled out another paper. The claim was filed under a false name, using forged documents. The company doesn't legally exist, which means, he grinned, Oz's deed stands. The land is his, always was. The lawyer sat down, defeated. Outside, a crack like a rifle shot. Everyone jumped, but it wasn't gunfire. It was the creak, the ice breaking. The sound echoed through town, deep, resonant, final. Spring thaw, Brennan said, right on time. He turned to me. Mr. Thatcher, I apologize. You've been wronged by a man who used the law as a weapon. Your land is yours, your wife is yours, or rather, you're hers if she'll have you. He smiled slightly. Case dismissed. The room erupted. Cheers, shouts. Woody slapped my back. Madge hugged Clem. B jumped up and down, signing, We won! We won! I looked at Clem. She was crying, silent tears running down her scarred face. Happy tears. I pulled her close. It's over. She tapped on my chest. NOJUSTBEGINNING. Outside I heard water running, the creek freed from its ice prison, rushing, alive. Thorne was led away in chains, his shoulders slumped, broken. I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. Brennan stopped at the door. Mr. Thatcher, for what it's worth, what you did, buying that woman off that platform, that took courage. Most men would have walked away. Most men aren't as stubborn as me. He laughed. True enough, you take care of her. I will. And her? He nodded at Clem. She takes care of you? She does. Then you're a lucky man. He tipped his hat and left. The crowd dispersed slowly. Folks stopped to shake my hand, nod to Clem. Some apologized for doubting us, some just smiled. When the room finally cleared, it was just us. Me, Clem, Bea, Woody, Madge, and Silas. Well, Woody said, that went better than expected. Barely, I said. Madge looked at Clem. You're staying then? In Frostbite Creek? Clem tapped Home. Good, Madge said. Town needs good people. We walked out into afternoon sun. The air smelled different, wet earth growing things. The snow was melting fast, revealing brown grass underneath, green shoots pushing through. The creek roared, free at last. Bea ran ahead, splashing in puddles. Clem took my hand. I tapped Happy. She tapped back Yes. We walked home through melting snow, toward a spring we'd fought to see. 7 days after the trial, I rode to town. Clem stayed home with Bea, planting a garden. Spring had come fast, the kind of spring that makes you forget winter ever existed. I found Judge Thorne in the county jail, waiting for the federal transport to Helena. He sat on a cot, looking smaller than I remembered. Oz, he said when I entered, no surprise in his voice, like he'd been expecting me. Judge, come to gloat? I pulled up a chair. Come to understand. He laughed, bitter, broken. Nothing to understand. I was greedy, I was guilty, I used the law to hurt people. That's the story. That's part of it, but there's more. He looked at me. Really looked. My son was 23 when he died. Smart, good, better than me in every way. His voice cracked. I put him in that mine, told him it was family legacy, told him we'd be rich. And the cave-in? My fault. Cut corners on the supports, wanted to get ore out faster. He covered his face. I killed him, my own son, and I couldn't make it right. Couldn't bring him back, so I kept digging, kept building, thought if I made it big enough, rich enough, his death would mean something. It meant something already, I said quietly. He was your son. That's meaning enough. Thorne shook his head. I don't expect forgiveness. Didn't come to give it, not yet. Maybe someday. I stood. But I came to tell you, I know what it's like to lose family, to feel like you failed them. I lost my wife and daughter 9 years ago. Thought I'd never forgive myself. Did you? No, but I learned to live with it. Learned that making new life matters more than mourning old death. I looked at him through the bars. You got 8 years coming, Judge. Maybe more. What you do with that time, that's up to you. You can keep digging in guilt, or you can climb out. I walked to the door, paused. There's a mission in Billings. Helps folks who got nowhere to go. When you get out, they could use a man with legal training, man who understands how the law can hurt people and how it can help. I left him sitting there. Outside, Garrett Voss stood by his horse. He looked sober, clean, different. Oz. He nodded, couldn't meet my eyes. I owe you an apology. For what? For what I did. To Miss Clem, to Mrs. Thatcher. I was a coward, rode off and left her standing there like... His jaw clenched. Like she was nothing. She forgave you already, at the meeting. I know, but I needed to say it anyway. He looked at me finally. She's lucky to have you. I'm lucky to have her. He rode off. I watched him go, hoping he'd find his own redemption. 2 months later, when the wildflowers bloomed, we had a proper wedding. The whole town came. They built a platform by the creek, the same creek that had been frozen solid when I brought Clem home. Now it ran clear and free, singing over stones. Clem wore a dress Madge made, simple white cotton with blue ribbons. Bea had woven wildflowers into Clem's short hair. She looked like spring itself, new, alive. Minister Williams stood before us again. We're gathered here to witness, again, the union of Oswin and Clementine Thatcher, this time with the whole community. Folks laughed, happy laughs, not the cruel kind. Do you, Oz, take Clem? I do. Then I tapped on her hand where everyone could see. I-D-O. And Clem? She pulled out her harmonica, played those same two notes. Clear, ringing, perfect. Then she did something new. She signed to B. B's voice, high, uncertain but determined, spoke for her. I do. I choose him, every day. My eyes got dusty. Minister Williams smiled. I now pronounce you, again, husband and wife. You may kiss your bride, again. I did. The crowd cheered. B threw wildflower petals. Someone played a fiddle. Dancing started. Later, as the sun set, Clem and I stood by the creek. B was being taught to dance by Woody. Madge served cake. Silas laughed with some girls from town. Life. Normal, beautiful life. Clem tapped on my hand. BESTTENDOLLARS. I pulled her close. Best $10 in the whole world. She leaned into me. I felt her heart beating, strong, steady. Clem? She looked up. Thank you for choosing me back. She smiled, played a soft note on her harmonica, then tapped LOVEYOUPAPA. I froze. Papa? She pointed at B, then at herself, then at me. Tapped FAMILY. You want to adopt her? Make it official? She nodded fierce. Then we will. B ran up, tugged my sleeve. She signed, Dance with me? I let her pull me toward the music. Clem followed, laughing silently. We danced there by the creek, the three of us, while the whole town celebrated around us. Spring had come, the ice was gone, and we were free. Folks ask me sometimes, was it love at first sight? I tell them no. Wasn't sight that did it. See, I couldn't even see her face under that sack. And when I did see her, what I saw wasn't what most folks would call beautiful. Scars, clouded eye, hair chopped short like someone had taken shears to it in anger. But there was something in how she stood, straight back, proud chin, even with that sack on, even with the cold and the rope and the shame, she wouldn't bend. My old pappy used to say, son, you can tell everything about a person by how they stand when the world's pushing them down. Clem stood like an oak in a windstorm, roots deep, wouldn't break. I bought her freedom that day for $10, but she paid mine right back. Paid for it with patience, with silence that said more than words, with trust I didn't deserve, but tried to earn every day. Been 19 years now. We got B, adopted her legal that summer, got 2 more young ones besides, got a garden that makes you weep, it's so pretty come June, got neighbors who respect us, got a life. Judge Thorne got out after 8 years. Last I heard, he's working at that mission in Billings. Helping folks. Maybe he found his second chance after all. I hope so. Lord knows we all need one. The harmonica still sits on our mantel. Sometimes on winter evenings, Clem plays it while I sit by the fire. And I think about that blizzard, about how the coldest day of my life turned into the warmest. The good Lord works in mysterious ways. Sometimes he sends a blizzard. Sometimes he sends a woman in a sack. And if you're smart, you thank him and hold on tight. 'Cause warmth don't come from the sun alone. It comes from the soul standing beside you, making visible what was invisible, making music out of silence, love.